Who's ready for the word this morning? The message. Can we have a thumbs up? Come on, give us a little wave if you're excited and ready for the message. Come on, that's great. I can't see everybody's faces with the mask, so if you want to wave at me during the message to say you're agreeing with it and enjoying it, that's brilliant. So who can remember what we looked at last week for those that were in the room? Listening. Good. I was just checking that you were listening. We're in a series at the moment called Wisdom for Life, looking at the book of Proverbs and trying to help us make decisions. You find it hard to make decisions? We have a lot to make, don't we, day to day, and sometimes we get it wrong. But this book of Proverbs, it's so many years ago, but it's still timeless, and it's still got some great insights for us to help us here and now today. We've got information all around us, but we need wisdom for our everyday lives. And last week we looked at listening, and this week we're going to look at speaking. So I want to look at how we use our words. We speak on average 7,000 words every day. I don't know who counted that. Feel sorry for the researchers there. But I don't know, would you say you speak more than that or less than that? You maybe know more about the people around you, how much they talk. But actually, I think some of our conversations, they might feel a bit mundane. They might feel just everyday life. But I want to encourage us today that our words make a difference. Our words have power. This phrase, I'm sure many of you will have heard, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Nonsense, isn't it? Absolute nonsense. I don't know why that's stuck, or it just flows, and why it's still taught. But in the Proverbs 12, verse 18, it says, reckless words pierce like a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. So therefore, words help us, or they can hurt us. There's two ends to that, isn't there? You know, words, maybe we can think of words that have been spoken over our lives that have really done damage, that really have hurt us. It might be someone that we love very dearly, and they've said something and it's lived with us. Or it might be a work colleague that's spoken a negative word. They can sting, can't they? They can really pierce like a sword. But they can also shape us. I might have shared this before, but I remember maybe when I was about 18, 19, I was in a season of uncertainty. I didn't know what was going to happen next, and I was wondering, even in my faith too. But I got a message, somebody wrote a card to me, and they said, decisions determine destiny. And those words have lived with me forever, or since I read them. They've helped me remind me that the decisions we make shape the way that we live. And I guess I want to remind you that when we speak, although we might say so many, 7,000 every day approximately, the words that you speak to other people have the power to change their trajectory of their whole lives. Isn't that amazing? I think that's a real privilege. It's also a responsibility. A film, Spider-Man, says one of the great lines, and that is, great power brings great responsibility. You know, when we know the power that our tongue has, that our words make, then we also have a responsibility to steward them well. And that's what I want to just share this morning in our Wisdom for Life series, is the power that they can make. Well, we want to use them wisely. And before I launch in just to three short ways in which we can do that, I want to say this isn't just the words that we speak verbally, but these are the words that we type on our computers, on our text messages, on our emails, on our social media. You know, it's not just what we speak, because I find as well that we can sometimes say something written down or in an email that we would never say to somebody's face. So I just want to encourage you, as you're hearing what we say and talk about today, that it's communication and speaking across all platforms. So how do we use our words wisely? I want to just share a few thoughts with you today. And the first is this: guard your heart. Guard your heart. It's in Proverbs 4:23. It says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything that you do flows from it. So often I think about the heart here, but actually I want us to focus on guarding. You know, when you go out on holiday, many people perhaps haven't traveled for a long time, have we? But when you go through, there's a security gate, isn't there? And you have to usually put lots of things into little bags, and there's certain things you can't take. And, you know, there's a security for obvious reasons that they don't let bad things onto the plane, etc. But I want to encourage us to do the same in our lives about what we are allowing into our hearts, because not everything is good for us. We want to be discerning to say, no, I'm not going to let that into my heart, into my life, because out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. Yeah. What's in here today, what's in your heart, what's going on under the surface will come out in what you say. So I want to just encourage you really to be on guard, to have a filter of what the influence is that you're allowing into your life. It could be the programs we watch, it can be the music we listen to, it can be the conversations at our workplace or the things that we're involved with. Not all of it's bad, a lot of it's good. We said last week, didn't we? Walk with the wise and we'll become wiser. Surround ourselves and let the good things in. When I see that verse about above all else, guard your heart, I think sometimes we think we put a block up. We're not going to let anything into our heart. No, we want to let the good things in. We want to let the Lord speak to us. We want to allow the things of him and the goodness to fill our lives, because then we will speak with greater wisdom. What's going on under the surface in your life? I wonder how your heart is today. Is there something you need to pick out? You know, I think of the game Operation, you know, as you're getting the tweezers and you're picking the little bits out. Is there something in our lives today that's just not quite right? We need to get our hearts right with the Lord. Because that's the foundation for wisdom, I think, is if we guard our heart, and as we have a good heart, we're more likely to say good things. It says in the Bible that a good tree produces good fruit. It also says a bad tree produces bad fruit. And I think it's the same in our heart and in our lives, as if our heart is right before God, then we will speak a lot more good things out. Somebody once said, Samuel J. Hewitt said, never trust your tongue when your heart is bitter. You know, sometimes we can get hurt, damaged, and things in our heart that we need to get right. I've said things sometimes when I think, oh, why did I say that? Or maybe you can relate to that you've said it and you almost want to rewind. But I think we just want to keep our heart in check and make sure if there's any bitterness, if there's anything not right, bring it to God, because I think that will be a platform for us to speak wisely. So we guard our heart. We want to be on guard and have a filter of what's coming in and be aware what's under the surface. The second thing, and this might be harder for some than others, but is to hold your tongue. Hold your tongue. It says in Proverbs 21:23, watch your words and hold your tongue. You'll save yourself a lot of grief. Sometimes we want to speak before thinking, don't we? We want to react to something. But I feel like even if we guard our heart, there's still sometimes we say something daft, don't we? Maybe that's just me. But we need to be people, if we're going to have wisdom for life, to take care of our words. I don't know if your conversations has ever led you into trouble, but I think wisdom isn't just what we say, but it's also what we don't say. If you hold your tongue, then it enables you to think a little. We talked about listening last week, didn't we? Holding your tongue enables you to do that. Jesus himself gave us a great example. I'll just read it from Matthew 26. It says, in the trial before Jesus was crucified, he stood before the Sanhedrin. And when questioned before the high priest, he stood up and said to Jesus, are you not going to answer? What is this testimony that these men are bringing against you? Jesus remained silent. And there might be various reasons why he did that. But I want to just encourage you, we don't always have to respond instantly. We don't always have to say things straight away. It's good to pause. It's good to be still. And it's important to hold our tongue too. It's not just what to say, but it's also when to say it as well, isn't it? Who said something and it's right, but it's just the wrong time. I'm learning that a lot, just as newly married, of adjusting when to say things as well as how to say things. I think just in regards to holding our tongue, I feel that sometimes someone can say something to us and it can hurt us and we want to say something back. Have you ever had that experience or felt like that? That somebody says something nasty to you, you want to say something nasty back? We're all lovely in this place. We don't say nasty things. But I'll share this with you. Over the years, me and my friend, he's quite a similar build to me, but we've had a number of lovely people with good hearts say some daft things to us. They've said things about our physique. So they've said things like, there's more fat on a chip. They've said things like, you need a good meal. They've said, do you eat? They've said a number of things that we need feeding up, like as if, I don't know if they think it's a compliment, but they say things as a joke, as a throwaway comment, and, I can laugh about it, I think it's all in good jest. But actually, in those moments sometimes, I won't tell you the thoughts that I have of the things I want to say back sometimes. But actually, I think that we need to sort of think about why people are saying those things, and actually there's maybe have a quiet word with them another time. But I guess for me is when we talk about holding our tongue, we don't want to enter into the level of frustration or the things, even the lack of wisdom that other people have. By holding our tongue, it enables us to process a bit more and actually speak into those things. It says in Proverbs 26, don't answer a fool according to his folly, or you yourself will be like him. So in those times, I could have gone back and said something about the individual that was speaking to me. It wouldn't have ended up well, would it? But I think some people, I've heard, that, and you might have heard this phrase, they say, I just speak my mind. Have you ever heard somebody say that? They almost brag, I just speak my mind. But I think that that's not a wise thing to do. If your mind's anything like mine anyway, I think actually we don't always have good thoughts. What's on our mind isn't always good to communicate. So I want to encourage you, as we talk about our tongue having power, we also need to own the responsibility that it has as well. Jesus says, for by your words you'll be justified, and by your words you'll be condemned. We have a responsibility, not just with what we do, but also with the words that we say. So we guard our heart. We guard and we filter. We make sure the things that are coming in are good for us, and making sure that the bad things don't come into our heart. We hold our tongue. We don't speak when we don't need to or when we shouldn't. It's that phrase, isn't it? Only if you've got nothing good to say, don't say anything at all. But the last thing I want to just say to you, and this is, some of those might seem holding back, guarding and holding your tongue. But the third thing is perhaps a bit more proactive also and positive, is to build others up. I don't want you to just think of yourself as a guard, but also as a builder. The image you can see is almost the foundations that are being laid, and I want us to use our words to build people up. Ephesians 4, don't let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up, according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. I did a little bit of research for this and found out that it takes on average 3 to 6 months to build a house. Obviously, it depends what size it is, but on average, it takes that long. You'll obviously appreciate that it doesn't take that long to demolish a building or to demolish a house. It takes a lot longer to build something up than it does to knock it down. the same with our words, isn't it? You could have encouragement around you all the time, kind words, the Bible spoken over you, but suddenly one person says something negative. It's very destructive, isn't it? It causes great damage, and I'm not sure of all the psychology behind that. But I want to encourage you, be a builder. Be a builder. If it takes time, keep building. We know the impact that good words, encouraging words, biblical scriptures spoken over us and to us, again, the difference it makes in us. So when we know the impact it has, let's let that flow out into the lives of those around us. I want you to think, who are you building up today? How are you using your words today? Are they to build up? Or are we demolishing? Maybe we've said something that was a bit out of turn. We all make mistakes. This isn't a condemnation, but this is a bit of self-reflection today. Let's be builders. Let's be people that use our words wisely. And I want to challenge us today as well. Let's not just speak good words to people's faces, which I want to encourage you to do more. Build people up. I want to encourage you today, speak good about people behind their back. So often with words we can think of gossip and think people will say bad things. Let's be people that also not just say it to their face, but let's speak well of people behind their back. I think that's so important, and using our words wisely, because again, I heard somebody say, what you say about someone reveals more about you than it does them. The words that you speak about people describes more about or reveals more about you than it does them. So I want you to be somebody that is a builder, that speaks life, that encourages. We're still going to have our complaints and frustrations. I know that people still wind us up, don't they? And we need a healthy place to vent those frustrations, perhaps. But I want to encourage you, let's be people that don't underestimate the power of our words. Let's be people that think creatively about how we do that as well, in sending a kind text message, sending a positive email, picking up the phone to call someone with good news, or just to say that you care for them. I know we had the kids up the front a minute ago, and I'm sure you'll know the same if you've had children or family members or little ones. Words such as, I believe in you, you can do this, I'm with you. Just the words, psychologically, they're powerful, aren't they? And even, again, just sharing the words of God and the truth of the scripture over their lives, you're building a foundation. But this isn't just for children. We grow up and we still need to hear those words over our lives. I love one of the Bible verses that do to others as you want have them done to you. It's not don't do to others what you don't want them to do to you. It's a proactive thing. Take the initiative. If you want people to speak encouragement to you, be an encourager. If you want someone to build you up, be a builder. So I just want to encourage us in our time today. Let's share good news. Let's use our words to pray for somebody. That's a great way of stewarding our words, isn't it? There's great power in that. When was the last time we encouraged somebody today? I want our words to be wise, seasoned with grace, it says in the scriptures, and attractive, that everyone, when we speak to them, will have the right response for them.